Commander Jack Patterson stood in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, his hands clasped behind his back as he listened to yet another species boast about their military achievements. The Xanthari representative, a tall being with blue scales and 4 arms, was describing how their fleet had defended 3 colonies from pirates last month. Around the circular chamber, representatives from dozens of species nodded and murmured their approval. Jack kept his face neutral, almost bored. This was the role he had played for 15 years now. The patient human, the quiet diplomat, the representative of a species that everyone saw as useful but unremarkable. He was good at this role. Too good, perhaps. And what of humanity? The Xanthari asked, turning his large eyes toward Jack. How many ships did your people contribute to the security patrols this quarter? Jack stepped forward slightly. We provided 12 vessels to the Outer Rim patrols as agreed. They performed adequately. The word adequately brought a few chuckles from other representatives. The Corvian delegate, a floating being made of what looked like purple gas, spoke up. Adequately. How very human. You are a dependable species, Commander. Content with your place. Jack smiled softly. We do what we can with what we have. This was the dance. This was the game humanity had been playing for over a century. Let them think humans were simple. Let them believe Earth's technology was borrowed and basic. Let them assume humanity's military was small and outdated. The truth was so different that sometimes Jack wondered if it was all worth it. After the council session ended, Jack walked through the station's corridors toward the human quarters. The station was enormous, a monument to galactic cooperation built by a dozen species over 300 years. Humans had contributed to its construction, of course, but only in small ways. They had been careful not to show off. In his private quarters, Jack activated the secure channel. The hologram that appeared showed a woman with short dark hair and sharp eyes. Dr. Lisa Brennan looked tired. She always looked tired these days. Another day of playing weak? Lisa asked. Another day of being underestimated, Jack replied. How are things on your end? Lisa glanced at something off-screen. The new research station in the Kepler sector is complete. That makes 47 hidden facilities. The elder races still think we have 5 research outposts total. Jack sat down heavily. 47. We're running out of empty space to hide things in. That's the idea, Lisa said. The network is almost complete. Once the last stealth field generators are in place, we'll have coverage across every major sector. The galaxy will think they know where all our assets are, while our real infrastructure stays invisible. Any signs they suspect anything? Jack asked. None. The Xanthari tried to scan one of our civilian cargo ships last week. Their sensors showed exactly what we wanted them to show. Outdated engines, basic shields, nothing interesting. They didn't detect the quantum drives or the weapon systems folded into dimensional storage. Jack nodded. This was humanity's greatest achievement and greatest secret. While the galaxy had been content with the same technology for thousands of years, humans had been innovating in the shadows. Stealth fields that bent light and sensor waves. Weapons that could tear apart matter at the molecular level. Ships that could appear in one place and jump to another, without using the predictable hyperspace lanes everyone else relied on. Sometimes I wonder if we're doing the right thing, Jack said quietly. All this hiding. All these lies. Lisa's expression softened. We've had this conversation before, Jack. You know why we do this. Earth's history taught us what happens when you show all your strength too early. Everyone either wants to conquer you or ally with you to conquer someone else. We needed time to watch the galaxy to understand how it really works. And what have we learned? That the elder races are arrogant. That they've stopped innovating because they think they've already reached the peak. That they see younger species as cute little children playing with toys. Lisa leaned forward. We learned that if we'd shown our real technology on day 1, we'd already be in our 3rd galactic war. This way, we've had a century of peace to build, to prepare, to position ourselves exactly where we need to be. Jack knew she was right. The plan had been set in motion over 100 years ago when humanity first made contact with the galactic community. Earth's leaders had made a choice then: hide Observe, learn, wait. The next day, Jack was reviewing reports when an alert came through. It wasn't on the official council channels. It came through the hidden network, the one that connected all of humanity's secret installations and ships. Captain Danny Morrison, commanding the civilian vessel Horizon's Edge, had detected something unusual. Strange signals coming from an unexplored region of space, patterns that didn't match any known galactic civilization. Jack read the report twice. The signals were massive, indicating huge energy sources moving through deep space. They were heading toward the outer colonies. He immediately contacted Admiral Ryan Cooper on the secure channel. The Admiral's hologram appeared, showing a man with gray hair and a stern face. Behind him, Jack could see the bridge of a ship that didn't officially exist. The Earthborn, humanity's most advanced warship, hidden in a pocket of folded space beyond any galaxy charts. "You've seen Morrison's report?" Jack asked. "Just finished reading it," Ryan said. "We've repositioned 3 stealth fleets to track those signals. Whatever's out there, it's big, really big." "Should we warn the Council?" Ryan shook his head. "And tell them what? That we have ships in regions we're not supposed to be in, using sensors more advanced than anything they know we have? We need more information first. If there's a threat, then we'll handle it when the time comes," Ryan interrupted. "That's what all this has been for, Jack. We didn't build this fleet to sit in the dark forever. But we reveal ourselves on our terms, when we choose to, not because we got spooked by some strange readings." Jack wanted to argue, but he understood the Admiral's position. Humanity had spent over a century building this moment, the moment when they would step out of the shadows. It couldn't be rushed. Over the next week, more ships reported similar signals. The pattern was becoming clear. Something was moving through space toward civilized regions, something that used technology nobody recognized. In the Galactic Council, there was talk of the strange readings, but most species dismissed them as natural phenomena or glitches. The elder races had explored the galaxy for thousands of years. They believed they knew everything there was to know. Jack stood in the council chamber and listened to them debate. The Zenthari were certain it was just stellar radiation. The Corvians thought it might be automated probes from some ancient civilization. Nobody seemed worried. Commander Patterson, one of the council leaders, addressed him. "Does humanity have any insights into these readings?" Jack considered his words carefully. "We've detected similar patterns. Our scientists are analyzing them. We believe caution would be wise." "Caution," the Zenthari representative laughed. "Your species is always cautious. This is why you remain small. The galaxy rewards boldness." Jack didn't respond. Let them think what they wanted. Let them believe humanity was timid and slow. Meanwhile, in the darkness beyond their sensors, dozens of human warships were moving into position. Weapons were being checked. Shields were being tested. Crews were drilling for combat. That night, Jack spoke with Lisa again. "How long can we maintain the facade?" he asked. "As long as we need to," she replied. "But Jack, if these signals turn into something real, if there's actually a threat out there, we might not have a choice anymore. We might have to show them what we really are." "I know," Jack said. "Admiral Cooper is already positioning the fleets. If something comes, we'll be ready, and the galaxy will finally see us for what we are." Jack looked out the window of his quarters at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, hidden in the darkness, were hundreds of human ships, thousands of soldiers, and crew members who had spent their entire careers in secret, never receiving public recognition for their service. Entire colonies that didn't appear on any galactic map. Research stations conducting experiments that would revolutionize warfare and technology. All of it hidden. All of it waiting. "Do you think they'll forgive us?" Jack asked. "When they learn. We've been lying this whole time?" Lisa was quiet for a moment. "I think they'll be too shocked to think about forgiveness at first. And then if we play it right, they'll be too grateful we were there when they needed us." "That's what you're counting on? That will save them from something, and that will make the deception okay?" "I'm counting on humanity doing what we've always done, Jack. Surviving. Adapting. Winning when it matters." Lisa's expression was serious. Those signals Morrison detected? They're growing stronger. Whatever's coming, it's coming fast. The elder races are going to face something they're not prepared for, and when they do, we'll be there. Not as the weak little species they think we are, but as what we've always been. And what's that? The apex predators pretending to be prey. Jack ended the call and sat in the darkness of his quarters. Outside, the council station continued its slow rotation, a symbol of galactic unity and cooperation. But Jack knew the truth. The galaxy wasn't united, it was. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was called at dawn. Jack Patterson rushed to the chamber, already knowing what he would find. The reports had come in overnight. 3 colonies on the outer rim had gone dark, all communications lost, all sensor readings showing nothing but empty space where thriving worlds had been just hours before. High Commander Velkara of the Zenthari Empire stood at the center of the chamber, his forearms gesturing wildly as he spoke. This is an act of war. An unknown enemy has attacked our territories. We demand immediate military action. The other representatives were in various states of shock and confusion. The Corvian delegate floated nervously, its purple gas form flickering. Others whispered among themselves, unable to believe what they were hearing. 3 colonies don't just disappear, one representative said. Your sensors must be malfunctioning. Velkara's scales darkened with anger. Our sensors are perfect. Our technology has protected this galaxy for 10,000 years. Something attacked those colonies. Something destroyed them completely. Jack stood quietly in his spot, watching the chaos unfold. Through his hidden earpiece, he was receiving real-time updates from Admiral Cooper. Human stealth ships had been observing the attacks. They had seen everything. The things that came from deep space called themselves nothing. Humanity had started calling them the Devourers because that's what they did. They devoured. Their ships were massive, dark things that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved through space in ways that violated known physics, and their weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. We sent a battle fleet to investigate, Velkara continued. 20 warships, our finest vessels. They engaged the enemy at the 3rd colony. We received 3 minutes of combat data before all contact was lost. All 20 ships gone. The enemy took no damage. The chamber fell silent. 20 Zenthari warships represented enormous military power. For them to be destroyed so quickly was unthinkable. Ambassador Kate Sullivan, another human diplomat, stepped forward. Commander Velkara, we sympathize with your loss. Perhaps we should consider what? Velkara interrupted. Humanity has no military power worth discussing. This is a matter for the strong species of the galaxy. You would do best to stay out of the way. Kate's jaw tightened, but she said nothing more. Jack caught her eye and gave a slight shake of his head. Not yet. Not yet. Over the next 3 days, the attacks continued. The Devourers moved through the outer colonies like a storm, overwhelming every defense. The elder races scrambled to mount a response, but they were slow. Thousands of years of peace had made them comfortable. Their military tactics hadn't changed in centuries. Jack spent his time in the human quarters, coordinating with Earth through the secure channels. Dr. Lisa Brennan was working around the clock, analyzing every scrap of data the hidden fleet gathered about the Devourers. Their shields adapt, Lisa explained over the hologram. Every weapon the galactic species use, the Devourers analyze it and develop immunity within minutes. The Zenthari plasma cannons worked for exactly 4 minutes before becoming completely useless. The Corvian energy weapons lasted 6 minutes. So they learn, Jack said. They evolve in real time. Exactly. It's incredibly sophisticated technology, the kind of thing that makes the galaxy's current weapons look like stone tools. Lisa paused. But Jack, our weapons are different. We've been developing technology they've never seen. Technology that doesn't exist in their database. Are you suggesting? I'm saying that when the time comes, we'll have the advantage. They can't adapt to what they don't know exists. The Galactic Council met again, this time with a plan. Every species would contribute ships to a combined fleet. They would face the Devourers together in one massive battle. Unity would be their strength. When it came time for humanity to pledge forces, Jack stepped forward. Earth will contribute 15 vessels to the defense fleet. The number was met with barely concealed disdain. 15 ships. The Zenthari were contributing 3,000. The Corvians had pledged 800. Other species were sending hundreds each. Humanity's contribution seemed pathetic. 15 ships, Velkara repeated. How generous. Try not to get in the way of the real warriors. Jack simply nodded and returned to his position. Through his earpiece, he heard Admiral Cooper's dry voice. 15 ships, and only about 3,000 more they don't know about. That night, Kate Sullivan found Jack in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. She stood beside him silently for a moment before speaking. I hate this, she said quietly, listening to them mock us. Treating us like children. It's almost over, Jack replied. One way or another, the hiding ends soon. Do you think we're ready? What if our technology isn't enough? Jack turned to look at her. Kate, we've been preparing for this for over a century. Our ships are faster, our weapons are stronger, our shields are better. The only question is whether we reveal ourselves at the right moment. And when is the right moment? When they're desperate enough to accept help from anyone. Even us. The combined galactic fleet assembled at the Kelvin Nexus, a strategic point in space where multiple hyperspace lanes met. It was the largest gathering of military force in recent history. Thousands of ships from dozens of species, all preparing to face the Devourer threat. The human contribution arrived last. 15 ships just as promised. They were older models, the kind of vessels humanity had been using publicly for decades. Reliable but unimpressive. The other species barely acknowledged their presence. Lieutenant Ben Harris sat in the pilot seat of one of those 15 ships, trying not to smile. His vessel, the Ranger, looked like a simple patrol craft on the outside. But Harris knew what it really was. Beneath the plain exterior were weapon systems that could crack a planet, shields that could withstand a star's radiation, engines that could outrun anything in the galaxy. Remember, his commander's voice came over the comm. We're here to observe and assist. Nothing fancy. Don't reveal capabilities unless absolutely necessary. Understood, Harris replied. Play weak until we can't anymore. Exactly. The Devourers arrived 2 hours later. Their dark ships emerged from the emptiness of space like nightmares taking form. There were hundreds of them, each one massive and terrifying. The galactic fleet opened fire immediately. The first few minutes seemed promising. The combined firepower of thousands of ships created a brilliant display of weapons fire. Explosions bloomed in space as some Devourer vessels took damage. Then the enemy adapted. It happened faster than anyone expected. The Devourer shields shifted, changed, evolved. Suddenly, the weapons that had been effective stopped working. Plasma cannons fired uselessly. Energy beams scattered harmlessly. Missiles were intercepted before they could reach their targets. And then the Devourers fired back. Their weapons were devastating. Beams of dark energy that seemed to erase matter rather than destroy it. Ships touched by those beams simply ceased to exist. No explosions, no debris, just gone. The galactic fleet began to panic. Formations broke apart as ships tried to retreat. The Zenthari flagship, a massive dreadnought that had been the pride of their empire, took a direct hit. It vanished in an instant. Harris watched from his position at the rear of the fleet. Should we engage? He asked over the secure human channel. Negative, came the response. Hold position. Continue recording data. It was torture to watch. Ship after ship disappeared under the Devourer assault. The fleet that had seemed so powerful just hours ago was being torn apart. The elder races were learning what it meant to face an enemy they didn't understand. Velkara's voice came over the open channel, desperate now. All ships fall back to defensive positions. We need to regroup. But there was no regrouping. The Devourers pressed their advantage, moving through the fleet like predators through prey. Their movements were coordinated, efficient, merciless. On the council station, Jack received an urgent message. It was from General Alex Stone, the commander of humanity's official military forces. The 15 ships in the battle were under his command, at least officially. Jack, we're getting authorization requests from Earth Command. They're asking if it's time. Jack looked at the battle data streaming across his screens. The galactic fleet had lost 40% of its forces in less than an hour. At this rate, they would be completely destroyed within 2 hours. Not yet, Jack said. They need to be desperate. They need to know they can't win without help. People are dying out there. I know, but if we reveal ourselves too early, the elder races will never accept that they needed us. They'll claim they could have won eventually. We need them to face the abyss first. It was a cold calculation, but Jack had made cold calculations before. This was the moment everything had been building toward. Humanity couldn't afford to waste it. Another 30 minutes passed. The fleet was down to less than half strength. Ships were fleeing now, abandoning all pretense of an organized defense. The Devourers pursued relentlessly. Then Velkara's voice came over the channel again, but this time it was different. The arrogance was gone. In its place was something humanity had never heard from him before: fear. This is High Commander Velkara to all remaining vessels. We cannot win this battle. All ships retreat to fallback positions. This is a full withdrawal. The silence on the communication channels was deafening. For 5 full seconds after the human ships appeared, nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The entire galaxy seemed frozen in disbelief. Then chaos erupted. What is this? Velkara's voice cracked over the open channel. Where did those ships come from? How many vessels does humanity have? General Alex Stone sat in the command chair of his flagship, the Liberty. It was one of the 15 ships that had been visible all along, but now its true form was revealed. Weapon ports had opened along its hull. Advanced shield generators hummed to life. The outdated patrol craft had transformed into a warship that made the Zenthari dreadnoughts look primitive. This is General Stone of the United Human Forces to all galactic fleet vessels. We are here to assist. Follow our lead and we can still win this battle. Your forces? Velkara sputtered. Those ships, they cannot be human. We know your fleet size. We have counted your vessels. Captain Nicole Brady, piloting one of the newly revealed human fighters, couldn't help but laugh. You counted what we let you count, Commander. Now do you want our help or not? On the bridge of the Liberty, Chris Walker sat at the communication station. He had spent years maintaining the secret channels that connected humanity's hidden forces. Now those channels were open, and the messages flowing through them were intense. General, we have 347 stealth ships now visible on scanners, Chris reported. Another 200 emerging from fold space. The Earthborn is requesting permission to enter the battlefield. Alex considered for a moment. The Earthborn was Admiral Cooper's flagship, humanity's largest and most advanced vessel. Revealing it would show the galaxy just how far beyond them humanity had evolved. But they needed to be careful. Too much, too fast, and the other species might panic. Tell Admiral Cooper to hold position for now. We'll start with what we have here. The Devourers didn't wait for the galaxy to process what was happening. They saw new targets and attacked. Dark energy beams lanced out toward the newly appeared human ships. What happened next made several species think their sensors were broken. The Devourer weapons hit the human shields and simply stopped. The dark energy that had erased hundreds of galactic ships scattered harmlessly against barriers that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. The human vessels didn't even shake from the impact. All ships weapons free, Alex commanded. Show them what we've been building. The human fleet opened fire. The weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Beams of pure white light that moved faster than normal energy weapons. Missiles that phased in and out of reality, making them impossible to intercept. Cannons that fired projectiles accelerated to near light speed. Each shot was precise, calculated, devastating. Devourer ships that had seemed invincible minutes ago now found themselves under attack from weapons they had never encountered. Their adaptive shields tried to compensate, tried to learn, but human technology was too different from what they had faced before. They couldn't adapt fast enough. Lieutenant Ben Harris put his fighter through a series of maneuvers that would have torn apart any normal ship. The Ranger moved like it was dancing, spinning and weaving through enemy fire while its weapons found target after target. He destroyed 3 Devourer vessels in as many minutes. This is incredible, he shouted over the channel. These ships, they can't touch us. Stay focused, Harris, his commander replied. Don't get cocky. We're still learning what these things can do. On the council station, Jack Patterson watched the battle data with Kate Sullivan beside him. The transformation was remarkable. Minutes ago, the galactic fleet had been facing total annihilation. Now, with human forces engaged, the tide was turning. We're really doing it, Kate whispered. We're saving them. We're showing them what we can do, Jack corrected. Saving them comes next. The galactic fleet was slowly regrouping, taking advantage of the breathing room the human ships provided. Zenthari vessels pulled back to safe distances. Corvian ships reformed their formations. Everyone was watching the humans fight with weapons and tactics that seemed like magic. Velkara's voice came over the channel again, and this time, there was no arrogance in it. Only shock. General Stone, your weapons, they are far beyond anything we have seen. How long have you possessed this technology? Long enough, Alex replied simply. Now, are you going to help us or just watch? The question stung, but it worked. The galactic forces began to re-engage, this time following human tactical commands. They couldn't match human firepower, but they could provide support. They could draw fire. They could help. The battle raged for another hour. More human ships kept appearing from hidden locations throughout the sector. Small groups of fighters would decloak right in the middle of devourer formations, cause chaos, then disappear again. Larger warships emerged from dimensional pockets, fired devastating salvos, and folded space to new positions before the enemy could respond. The devourers were learning, though. That was the terrifying part. Even against human technology, they were starting to adapt. Their shields were slowly becoming more resistant. Their targeting systems were beginning to track the faster human vessels. General, we're seeing adaptation in their defenses, Chris reported. Estimates show they'll have partial immunity to our weapons in another 30 minutes. Alex frowned. How partial? Enough to make this fight a lot harder. We'll still be better than them, but we'll start taking casualties. This was the weakness in the Devourer strategy. They could adapt to any weapon given enough time. But humanity had something the Devourers didn't expect. More weapons. Different weapons. Technology that branched in a dozen directions, each one unique. Rotate weapon frequencies, Alex commanded. Switch to graviton cannons for the main fleet. Deploy the quantum torpedoes. Keep them guessing. The human fleet shifted its tactics. New weapons came online, each one operating on different principles than the last. The Devourers found themselves facing technology that changed faster than they could adapt. Every time their shields learned to defend against one weapon type, the humans would switch to something completely different. Nicole Brady was in the thick of it now, her fighter screaming through space at speeds that would have killed any unenhanced pilot. But human pilots had enhancements the galaxy didn't know about. Neural interfaces that let them react in milliseconds. Genetic modifications that let them withstand forces that would turn normal beings into paste. She targeted a large devourer ship, one that seemed to be coordinating several smaller vessels. I've got a lock on what looks like a command ship. Requesting permission to engage with heavy weapons. Permission granted. Light it up, Captain. Nicole armed a weapon that had been kept secret even within the secret fleet. A singularity missile. It would create a miniature black hole on impact, pulling everything nearby into oblivion before safely collapsing. The technology was terrifying. It was also incredibly effective. The missile streaked across space and hit the Devourer command ship dead center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to twist. The ship and everything around it was pulled inward, compressed, crushed. When the effect ended 3 seconds later, there was nothing but empty space. The Devourer fleet's coordination faltered. The smaller ships lost their organized patterns and began operating independently. It was the opening the human fleet needed. All ships, press the attack, Alex commanded. Target the larger vessels first. Break their fleet apart. What followed was a masterclass in modern warfare. Human ships moved in perfect coordination, each one supporting the others. They used tactics that had never been seen in galactic conflicts. They fought like they had been training for this exact scenario for years. Because they had. Every human in that fleet had grown up knowing the truth, that humanity was hiding its strength, that someday they would be called upon to reveal it. They had trained in secret facilities. They had practiced in hidden star systems. They had prepared for the day when the galaxy would need them. That day had come. The Devourers were retreating now. Their adaptive strategy had failed. They had never faced an enemy that could innovate faster than they could learn. The dark ships began to pull back, trying to disengage from the battle. Should we pursue? One of the human captains asked. Alex considered. They could chase the Devourers, potentially destroy their entire fleet. But that would mean leaving the galactic forces behind. It would mean revealing even more of humanity's capabilities, and it would mean scattering their own fleet across a wide area. Negative. Let them run. We've proven our point. As the Devourers fled into deep space, the battlefield fell quiet. The remaining galactic ships floated in stunned silence. They had just witnessed the impossible. Humanity, the species they had dismissed as weak and unremarkable, had single-handedly turned a hopeless battle into a decisive victory. The communication channels exploded with activity. Every species was demanding explanations. How many ships did humanity have? What was that technology? Why had they hidden all of this? But before Alex could begin to answer, a new ship appeared on sensors. It was massive, dwarfing even the largest Zenthari dreadnoughts. Its hull was sleek and silver, covered in weapons and systems that made everything else in the fleet look ancient. The Earthborn had arrived. Admiral Ryan Cooper's voice came over The Earthborn hung in space like a silver cathedral, its hull reflecting the light of distant stars. Admiral Ryan Cooper stood on its bridge, looking out at the scattered remains of the galactic fleet. Around his flagship, hundreds of human vessels maintained perfect formation. The contrast between the organized human forces and the chaotic gathering of other species could not have been more clear. Admiral, we're receiving thousands of communication requests, his communications officer reported. Everyone wants to talk to you. Ryan nodded slowly. Open a channel to all ships. Let everyone hear this. The channel activated and Ryan's voice carried across every vessel in the sector. I am Admiral Ryan Cooper, Supreme Commander of the United Human Stellar Navy. For over 100 years, humanity has maintained a presence in this galaxy, while carefully managing what information we shared about our true capabilities. Today, circumstances forced us to reveal the truth. We are not the weak, backward species you believed us to be. On the council station, Jack Patterson listened with satisfaction. This was the moment they had planned for. The moment when humanity would step out of the shadows and claim their place in the galaxy. How dare you? Velkara's voice interrupted. You deceived the entire Galactic Council. You lied about your fleet size, your technology, your intentions. We told you exactly what you wanted to hear, Ryan replied calmly. We never claimed to be weak. You assumed we were. We never said our technology was primitive. You decided it was. Your arrogance made you blind, Commander. We simply chose not to correct your assumptions. The words hit like a physical blow. The galactic species had prided themselves on their wisdom and experience. To be told they had been outwitted by what they considered a younger race was humiliating. Commander Michelle Pierce sat in the captain's chair of the Defiant, one of humanity's dreadnoughts. Her ship alone could take on 50 galactic vessels and win. She had spent 20 years serving in the Shadow Fleet, never receiving public recognition, never being acknowledged for her service. Now finally she could operate in the open. Captain Pierce, deploy sensor buoys, Ryan ordered. I want complete coverage of this sector. If the Devourers come back, we'll see them long before they arrive. Yes, sir. Deploying now. The Defiant released dozens of small devices that spread out across space. They were sensor platforms far more advanced than anything the galactic species used. They could detect ships light years away. They could see through stealth fields. They could track objects moving through dimensions most species didn't know existed. Dr. Lisa Brennan appeared on the main screen, broadcasting from Earth. Behind her, other scientists worked at stations filled with technology that looked like it came from a science fiction story. In reality, it was humanity's current state-of-the-art. I'm Dr. Lisa Brennan, Director of Human Advanced Research. I've been asked to provide some context for what you've witnessed today. The weapons and ships you've seen represent over a century of focused research and development. While the galactic community was content with existing technology, humanity was innovating. She brought up a holographic display showing the evolution of human technology. We developed stealth systems that could hide entire fleets. We created weapons that operate on principles most of you haven't discovered yet. We built ships that can manipulate space-time itself. All of this was done in secret, in hidden facilities across dozens of star systems you didn't know we occupied. Impossible, a Corvian representative said. We have been exploring this galaxy for 10,000 years. We would have found your hidden colonies, Lisa smiled. You found exactly what we let you find. 20 colonies, the ones we put on your maps. You never looked for the other 180 hidden settlements. You never searched for the research stations we built in nebulas and dark matter clouds. You never imagined we might be using technology to hide in plain sight. The number shocked everyone. 200 human colonies total. The galaxy had believed Earth controlled only a tiny fraction of that. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't a small power trying to find its place. It was a sleeping giant that had finally woken up. Velkara tried to regain some authority. This changes nothing. You may have superior technology, but the elder races have experience. We have wisdom earned over thousands of years. Ryan's response was sharp. Your wisdom nearly got you exterminated. In 1 hour of combat, you lost more than half your fleet. We saved you. Remember that when you talk about experience and wisdom. The truth of it silenced the channel. Every species present had watched their finest vessels dissolve under devourer weapons. They had seen their military might proven worthless. And then they had watched humanity, dismissed and underestimated humanity, crush the same enemy with seeming ease. Why? It was a new voice. A representative from a smaller species. One that had always been overshadowed by the elder races. Why hide all of this? If you had this power, why not use it? Why let us treat you as lesser? Jack took over the channel from the council station. Because we learned from our own history. On Earth, when one nation showed overwhelming power, it led to war. Other nations would either attack out of fear or try to ally with the strong to conquer the weak. We didn't want that. We wanted to observe, to learn, to understand how the galaxy really worked before we revealed ourselves. Kate Sullivan added her voice. We watched you for over a century. We saw how the elder races treated younger species. We saw the politics, the power games, the casual dismissal of anyone who didn't have 10,000 years of history behind them. We knew that if we showed our true strength too early, we would be forced into a war we didn't want. So we waited. Waited for what? Velkara demanded. For a moment when the galaxy would need us, Jack said simply. A moment when pride and arrogance would be set aside because survival mattered more. Today was that moment. Admiral Cooper brought up a tactical display showing the current position of all forces. The Devourers are regrouping. Our long-range sensors show them gathering in deep space. They'll attack again, and when they do, they'll be prepared for the tactics we use today. This battle isn't over. The statement sent ripples through the galactic fleet. They had barely survived one attack. The idea of facing another was terrifying. We cannot win, Velkara said quietly. Even with your help, Admiral, we cannot stand against them again. You're right, Ryan agreed. The fleet you have here cannot win, but we're not the only human forces in this galaxy. We have ships positioned in every major sector. We have fleets you haven't seen yet, and we have weapons we haven't deployed. On his bridge, Chris Walker was coordinating with other human vessels across the galaxy. The hidden network that had operated in secret for so long was now fully active. Ships were moving into position. Stations were powering up weapons. Humanity's entire military infrastructure was mobilizing. Admiral, I'm receiving confirmation from all sectors, Chris reported. Stealth fleets are ready. The defense network is online. Earth Command reports that all secondary forces are prepared to deploy on your order. Ryan nodded. Good. Now let's show the galaxy what a real military looks like. He turned back to the open channel. All species present are invited to send representatives to the Earthborn. We need to coordinate our forces and plan our defense. The Devourers will return, and when they do, we need to be ready. But understand this. Humanity will be leading this defense. Our technology, our tactics, our command structure. If you want our protection, you follow our rules. The statement was bold, demanding. It was a direct challenge to the power structure that had governed the galaxy for thousands of years. The elder races had always been in charge. Now a relative newcomer was telling them to step aside. Velkara struggled with his response. His pride wanted to refuse, to assert Zenthari dominance, but his logic knew that without human help, his people would be destroyed. Finally he spoke. The Zenthari Empire will send representatives. But this does not mean we accept human authority permanently. We're not asking for permanent authority, Ryan said. We're asking for the chance to save your lives. After this crisis is over, we can discuss the political situation. Right now, survival comes first. Over the next hours, shuttles began moving between ships as representatives traveled to the Earthborn. They passed through the Dreadnought's massive hangar bays, seeing fighters and equipment that looked impossibly advanced. They walked through corridors lined with technology they couldn't begin to understand. Everything they saw reinforced the same message. Humanity was far, far ahead of them. The meeting room where Ryan gathered everyone was itself a statement of power. Holographic displays showed real-time data from across the galaxy. Sensor feeds revealed devourer movements in deep space. Communication links connected to human forces in hundreds of locations. We have 5 days, Ryan began without preamble. That's how long our analysts believe we have before the Devourers attack again. They're gathering their forces for a massive assault. They'll come with everything they have, and they'll target multiple locations simultaneously. How can you know this? A Corvian representative asked. Because we've been tracking them since before they attacked your colonies, Lisa Brennan answered.
We have sensor platforms they can't.
The attack came exactly when Admiral Ryan Cooper predicted it would. 5 days after the first battle, sensors across the galaxy lit up with Devourer signatures. They came from multiple directions, hitting 12 different star systems simultaneously. It was a coordinated assault designed to overwhelm any defense, but humanity was ready. In the Talvan system, 300 Devourer ships emerged from deep space, expecting to find a lightly defended colony world. Instead, they found 200 human warships waiting in perfect ambush formation. The battle lasted 7 minutes. Not a single Devourer vessel survived. In the Koroth sector, Devourers attempted to attack a major Zenthari trade hub. They were met by a wall of human dreadnoughts that had been hiding in the system's asteroid field. Commander Michelle Pierce led the defense, her ship the Defiant cutting through enemy formations with brutal efficiency. Across the galaxy, the pattern repeated. Every time the Devourers attacked, they found human forces waiting. Every ambush they planned was countered. Every tactic they tried was predicted. It was as if humanity could read their minds. In truth, humanity could do something almost as good. Dr. Lisa Brennan and her team had cracked the Devourer communication network. They couldn't control it, but they could listen to it. They could hear the hive intelligence coordinating its forces. It gave humanity a decisive advantage. They're adapting faster now, Lisa reported from her lab on Earth. Every engagement teaches them more about our weapons. We're burning through our technological advantages. How long do we have? Jack Patterson asked from the council station, where he was coordinating diplomatic efforts. At their current rate of adaptation, maybe 2 more major engagements before they start seriously threatening our ships. We need to end this war soon. The answer came from an unexpected source. Captain Danny Morrison, the same pilot who had first detected the Devourers weeks ago, made a discovery while analyzing the enemy's movement patterns. The hive consciousness had a source. Somewhere in deep space, there was a central node coordinating all Devourer forces. If we can find it and destroy it, Danny explained over the command channel, we might be able to disrupt their entire network. Without central coordination, their individual ships become much less effective. Admiral Cooper immediately authorized a deep space reconnaissance mission. 50 of humanity's fastest stealth ships spread out across the void, searching for the central node. The galaxy species watched in amazement as human vessels operated in regions of space they didn't even have maps for. Lieutenant Ben Harris was one of the pilots on that mission. His ship, the Ranger, pushed deeper into uncharted territory than any galactic vessel had gone in centuries. The darkness out here was absolute. No stars, no light, just the endless black. Got something, Harris reported. Massive energy signature. Distance approximately 40 light-years beyond the galactic rim. The coordinates were shared across the fleet. Admiral Cooper studied them carefully. That's far, very far. We'd need to commit significant forces for an attack at that range. And leave the core systems vulnerable, General Alex Stone added. If we take our main fleet that deep, the Devourers could slip past us and attack the homeworlds. It was a dilemma. The solution required risk. It required trust. And it required something humanity had been building in secret even from their secret projects. Ryan turned to his communications officer. Open a secure channel to the Shadow Fleet. Around the room, even other human commanders looked surprised. The Shadow Fleet was a rumor within a rumor, a force so secret that most of the military didn't know it existed. Shadow Fleet responding, Admiral, the officer said. A new hologram appeared. The woman shown was older, with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much combat. This is Commander Patricia Hayes of Shadow Fleet Command. We've been listening. You need us to hold the core while the main fleet strikes the node. Can you do it? Ryan asked. Patricia smiled coldly. Admiral, the Shadow Fleet has 300 vessels you've never seen on any roster. We've been operating in complete darkness for 50 years. If the Devourers want to attack the core systems, they'll have to go through us first. The plan was set. The main human fleet, along with volunteers from the galactic species, would strike at the Devourer central node. Meanwhile, Shadow Fleet would deploy throughout the galaxy to defend critical systems. It was ambitious. It was dangerous. It was humanity's best chance to end the war. Velkara, who had been watching the planning session, finally spoke. Your species, you plan in layers within layers. Even your secrets have secrets. How do we know you are showing us everything even now? Jack answered him. You don't, and honestly, Commander, we're probably not. But right now, does it matter? We're trying to save the galaxy. Whether you trust us completely is less important than whether you believe we want to win. The Zenthari commander's scales shifted colors, a sign of deep thought. For a species that claims to value honesty, you are remarkably comfortable with deception. We value survival more, Jack said simply. Honesty is a luxury. Survival is a necessity. If you can't understand that, you've never truly faced extinction. The words hung in the air. The elder races, for all their age and experience, had never faced a real existential threat. They had grown comfortable in their dominance. Humanity, born on a world where extinction events were common, where warfare was constant, where survival always meant adaptation, understood things differently. The fleet assembled over the next day. 2,000 human warships, the largest force humanity had ever gathered in one place. Alongside them were 300 galactic vessels, all that remained of the combined fleet. It wasn't much, but it showed unity. It showed that the galaxy could work together when necessary. President Laura Manning addressed the fleet from Earth. She was a tall woman with graying hair and a voice that carried authority. To all humans serving in this fleet and to our galactic allies, today we strike at the heart of an enemy that sought to devour us all. We fight not for glory or conquest, but for survival, for the right of all species to exist, for the future of our children. Go with courage, go with skill, and come home victorious. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, traveling faster than any galactic vessel could track. They used human jump technology, which didn't rely on the predictable hyperspace lanes. They could appear anywhere, anytime. It made them almost impossible to anticipate. The journey took 6 hours. When they emerged near the coordinates Harris had found, what they saw took their breath away. The Devourer central node was massive, a structure the size of a small moon, black as the void around it, covered in technology that pulsed with dark energy. That's it, Lisa confirmed from her remote station. I'm detecting the hive signal emanating from that structure. Every Devourer ship in the galaxy is connected to it. Then we destroy it, Ryan said. All ships, battle formation. Prepare for heavy resistance. They didn't have to wait long. Thousands of Devourer ships poured out of the structure, more than humanity had ever faced at once. The enemy had been keeping a reserve, a final defense for their most critical installation. The battle that followed was the most intense combat any species had ever witnessed. Human ships moved in perfect coordination, their tactics refined over centuries of hidden training. They deployed weapons in sequence, never giving the Devourers time to adapt to any single technology. Quantum torpedoes, graviton beams, singularity missiles, plasma waves, each one different, each one devastating. The galactic vessels did what they could. Their weapons were less effective, but they drew fire. They created openings. They proved that even with inferior technology, courage and determination mattered. Nicole Brady pushed her fighter to its limits, leading a squadron through the Devourer formations. They were trying to reach the central node to deliver a payload that would tear it apart from the inside. But the enemy resistance was fierce. I've lost 3 pilots, Nicole reported. We need support. On our way, Michelle Pierce responded. The Defiant plowed through space, its massive guns clearing a path. Follow our wake. We'll get you through. The dreadnought took enormous punishment, its shields flaring under constant fire. But it held. Human engineering had made those shields nearly unbreakable. Michelle guided her ship right up to the central node, creating a gap in the defenses. Now, Captain Brady, go! Nicole's squadron shot through the opening, racing toward the structure's surface. Behind them, the Defiant continued to take fire, sacrificing itself to ensure the mission succeeded. Michelle watched her shield readings drop, knowing her ship was dying but not flinching. Payload delivered, Nicole announced. Get clear. We have 30 seconds! The human ships retreated at maximum speed. The galactic vessels, slower, struggled to escape the blast radius. Several Zenthari ships wouldn't make it in time. Not today, Ben Harris muttered. He and a dozen other human fighters turned back, using their ship's powerful engines to physically push the slower galactic vessels out of danger. It was insane. It was heroic. It was exactly the kind of thing humans did. The central node exploded, not with fire or heat, but with a wave of energy that disrupted every Devourer ship simultaneously. Across the galaxy, Devourer vessels stopped moving. Their coordination vanished. Their adaptive shields failed. They became sitting targets,